Hey there again, this is Ed Beard with the Employer's Edge, and we ran across a couple of really interesting situations just in the last couple of weeks about how hasty people can be when it comes to firing other people. And it's great learning for us, and we wanted to share this with you because it might be great learning for you too. And when I say hasty, I mean hasty in terms of a lack of clarity and understanding about people and situations, not necessarily hasty in terms of time. And people can be so quick to jump to, I want to be right. We form opinions of people. And over time, we look at information that validates our opinion because our number one goal as human beings is to be right. And what I want to suggest to you is clarity and understanding is always just so much more important than being right. All right, let me unfold these couple of really interesting scenarios for you. There was an engineering firm, about 500 people or so, owned by 3 owners, and 2 of these 3 owners right here, 2 of these 3 blue owners wanted to, say, fire Mr. Green. So these 2 blue owners went to this 3rd blue owner and said, hey, we need you to go into meeting with Mr. Green, fire him, and do an exit interview. Let's move on from there. So the 3rd blue owner goes in there, after about 2 hours comes out and says, folks, this isn't happening. Mr. Green's solid. He fits our culture and he fits our value. It would not be a good decision for us to fire this guy. I mean, he's everything we want. And so they call us in to facilitate a discussion at the executive ownership level to really unfold what culture are they trying to develop here? Where are their values? What's important to them? Because they didn't have agreement on this. Here's the problem. These 2 owners saw profit through time. This owner here saw profit through great customer service. Mr. Green was a customer service guy. These guys matched up great. Mr. Green did not add up culturally on a values level with these other 2 owners, so they wanted him gone. But how unfair is it to Mr. Green that he has to get fired because these 3 owners can't collaborate and come to an agreement on what culture looks like? What are their common values? They can't even come to an agreement on that, and they want to fire a guy over that? I mean, how unfair is that? The problem is at this level, and this guy's going to pay the price. I mean, that's just not right. So over time, over this discussion, these 2 folks decide, nah, we're out of here. We want profit through time, hard charging, just billable hours kind of time. And they left the 3rd owner with Mr. Green, and now Mr. Green is on fire. I mean, he is bringing in the repeat business because customer service drives repeat business. Firing Mr. Green would have been completely the wrong decision, and these other 2 owners wanted to do it because of an absence of clarity and understanding and lack of agreement at the executive level. That's just not a good thing to do. All right, let me share with you the second situation here. This is an online situation where an HR professional online shared that, hey, Mr. Red, who is an employee of the organization, has been told 3 times to do a job and he still won't get it done. What do I do? And then all these, wisdom-driven consultants, they all just jump in here. You need to fire this guy. That's unacceptable. You need to put him on a PIP. You need to clearly document this in his annual review so that you can fire him on down the way. And there's, just like you need to apply, I think, the yellow Post-it note theory of labor and communication regression, and all this theory stuff starts flying in on this. Man, I don't get all that theory stuff. But here's what I want to know. Mr. Red and his blue boss aren't talking, and I want to know why. See, we're recommending, all these experts are recommending fire the guy and put him on a PIP, and we don't even know what that communication disconnect looks like yet. That is just way too hasty. It's a gap in clarity and understanding. I want to know, Mr. Blue, describe that conversation with Mr. Red. What does that look like? Mr. Red, when he describes that to you, what does that sound like to you? How does that land? People don't do jobs for all kinds of reasons. If Mr. Red is not motivated or had a bad attitude, I mean, I get that. You got to fire people for that and terminate sometimes. It's even good for them to do that. But if Mr. Blue asked Mr. Red to do a job but didn't resource him to do it, that's a problem. What if he didn't give him the software or the team to get it done? That's on Mr. Blue, isn't it? And here we want to go firing Mr. Red for this lack of performance. What if Mr. Red didn't have the skill set, didn't have the competencies to get that done? Shouldn't the blue boss know the limits of the competencies of all the people on their team? What if he gave him a job to do and he just couldn't get it done? Shouldn't he put him through some kind of a training event so that he develops the skills and competencies to do the job he's getting asked to do? What if that didn't happen? All these people are just wanting to jump in, fire, 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 and I want to know what's going on, because clarity is always so much more important. It's incrementally more important than being right. We don't even know the situation here. We need to find out the situation here, what is really going on, because if Mr. Red is fired, Mr. Green comes in, Mr. Blue has the same communication problems with Mr. Green, guess where Mr. Green's going? Yeah, exactly. He's not long for the world either when the blue boss is really the cause of the problem. So I don't know, I thought this learning was pretty cool this week. It gave me some great insights, and so I thought it might benefit you and your organization as well.